They never expected you to survive. They thought the struggles would break you, that you would stay down. But you are different. You rise when others fall, and they cannot understand why. They wonder how you always come out ahead. Keep watching, because today you will understand exactly why they fear you. Being the chosen one is not about luck. It is not about privilege. It is about resilience, strategy, and an unshakable will. The world is watching you, whether you realize it or not. Some are hoping for your downfall, but others, your rivals, those who doubted you, are starting to fear what they cannot explain. Today, we will go through 5 undeniable signs that prove you are set apart, and more importantly, how you can use these truths to keep moving forward. Like and comment 77 if you are ready to take ownership of your path right now. The first sign is, you have overcome unthinkable struggles. There are moments in life that define a person, not in the way society expects, not through achievements or recognition, but in the quiet, brutal reality of suffering. You know what this feels like? Your story was never one of ease. It was never meant to be simple. From the beginning, you were tested in ways that most people could never endure. While others moved through life with comfort and predictability, you faced hardship after hardship, each one threatening to break you. And yet, you are still here. That is the first undeniable sign that you are set apart. The struggles you have faced were not ordinary. They were unthinkable. The weight you have carried, the battles you have fought, the pain you have endured, these were not random. They were part of a process, a refining fire meant to forge you into something greater. Most people avoid hardship at all costs. They retreat at the first sign of resistance. When life strikes them down, they stay there. But you did not have that option. Even when giving up seemed easier, something inside of you refused to quit. Something told you to keep going, even when there was no evidence that things would get better. That is not a coincidence. That is the mark of someone who is chosen. There is a passage in 2 Corinthians 4 verses 8 to 9 that speaks to this truth. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. This is not just poetic language. It is a reflection of the life you have lived. You have been knocked down, but never destroyed. Persecuted, but never abandoned. Broken, but never defeated. Think about the moments where everything seemed hopeless, when you felt like the struggle would never end. There were times when you thought you had reached your limit, when exhaustion, grief, and frustration nearly consumed you, and yet somehow you kept moving. That kind of resilience is not normal. It is supernatural. It is the evidence that you were never meant to live an ordinary life. There is something different about you, and deep down you have always known it. Others may not see it. They may look at you and only notice the surface, the things you lack, the wounds you carry, the challenges that have followed you. But they fail to understand that these struggles are not evidence of weakness. They are proof of transformation. Consider this: gold is refined through fire. The purest oil is extracted through crushing. The strongest trees grow their deepest roots in the harshest conditions. You have been refined, crushed, and tested, not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Every hardship, every betrayal, every loss has served a purpose, sharpening you into the person you were meant to become. The world does not reward those who simply exist. It takes notice of those who endure. History is not written by the comfortable. It is shaped by those who refuse to be broken. Look at the greatest leaders, visionaries, and disruptors. They did not rise from perfect circumstances. They emerged from struggle. They were shaped by pain, by rejection, by obstacles that seemed insurmountable. And yet they overcame, just like you have. This is why your story is not over. If hardship was meant to destroy you, you would not still be here. If pain was meant to define you, it would have consumed you by now. But you are still standing. That means there is more ahead. That means there is a purpose to everything you have endured. There is a moment in Romans 8 verse 18 that captures this truth perfectly. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. What you have endured is not the end of your story. It is the foundation for something greater. The struggles of your past do not define you. They prepare you. You may not see the full picture yet, You may still be in the process of healing, still navigating through uncertainty. But understand this, those who are truly chosen do not walk an easy path. They are tested. They are broken down so they can be rebuilt into something stronger. And when they rise, they are unstoppable. This is why your rivals fear you. They cannot understand how you keep going. They cannot comprehend how you have endured so much and yet refuse to be defeated. They wonder what keeps you standing. And the truth is, it is something they will never grasp. You were not meant to be ordinary. You were not meant to fade into the background. There is a reason you have survived. There is a reason you keep pushing forward when everything in your past should have left you broken. There is a force behind you, a power that does not allow you to quit. And when you embrace that fully, when you recognize that your struggles were never meant to destroy you but to reveal your strength, you become untouchable. So now the question remains, what will you do with this truth? Will you look at your struggles and see only pain? Or will you recognize them as the training ground for something far greater? If you have come this far, if you know that your battles have made you stronger, comment survivor, because that is exactly what you are. But this is only the beginning. Struggle is only one piece of the puzzle. What truly separates the chosen from the rest is not just their ability to survive, but the way they think. And if you are ready to understand why your mind works differently than the rest, keep watching. The next sign will show you why you are always one step ahead. The second sign is, your mind works differently. There is something about the way you see the world that others simply do not understand. You have noticed it for a long time, the way people around you make decisions based on fleeting emotions, the way they react impulsively to setbacks, the way they chase after things without a plan, only to find themselves lost. You, however, are different. You do not follow the crowd. You do not move without purpose. Your mind works in a way that sets you apart. This is the second undeniable sign that you are chosen. You do not just exist in the moment, you think beyond it. You see not only what is happening now, but what is coming next. You recognize patterns, anticipate outcomes, and prepare for possibilities that others never even consider. It is as if you have an internal compass that guides you, a perspective that allows you to navigate life with precision rather than chance. While others respond to life based on how they feel in the moment, you move with strategy. You do not waste energy on distractions. You do not make decisions based on temporary emotions. Instead, you weigh your options, think through the consequences, and make deliberate choices that push you forward. This is why people cannot predict your next move. You operate on a different level. You see paths where others see roadblocks. You recognize opportunities where others see failure. This has always made you stand out, even when you were not trying to. Think about how often you have been misunderstood because of the way you think. When others were panicking, you remained calm. When others were overwhelmed, you were already thinking about solutions. When everyone else reacted in fear, you were already preparing for what came next. This is why some people see you as intimidating. They cannot understand how you always seem to be in control, how you always seem to be thinking several steps ahead. But the truth is, this is not arrogance, it is wisdom. Proverbs 4 verse 7 reminds us, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding. This is not just a suggestion. It is a fundamental truth. The ability to think, to reason, to discern the best course of action is one of the greatest gifts you have been given. And yet, the world does not value wisdom the way it should. The world rewards those who follow trends, who act without questioning, who simply do what they are told. But the chosen ones do not follow blindly. They seek understanding. They challenge assumptions. They think before they act. This is why you do not fit in with the majority. You do not accept things at face value. You question, you analyze, you seek the deeper truth behind every situation. And this is what makes you powerful. You are not easily deceived. You are not easily manipulated. You do not allow circumstances to control you. You master them. But this gift does not come without challenges. There have been times when you felt isolated because of the way you think. You have tried to explain your perspective, only to be met with confusion. You have offered solutions that others ignored, only to watch them struggle later because they failed to see what you already knew. You have warned people about decisions they were making, but they did not listen because they could not see what you saw. This can be frustrating, but it is also confirmation. The chosen ones are often misunderstood because they operate at a higher level of awareness. You have probably noticed that some people are drawn to you, seeking your advice, asking for guidance, even when they do not fully understand why. They recognize, even subconsciously, that there is something about the way you think that is different, something they do not have. And yet, there are also those who resent you for it. They see your clarity of thought as a threat. They dislike the way you always seem to have the right answer, the way you navigate through challenges with a level of understanding they cannot match. This is why your rivals can never truly defeat you. They may try to outmaneuver you, but they are always reacting while you are already 10 steps ahead. They may try to set traps, but you recognize them before they can spring. They may try to throw you off course, but you have already adjusted your strategy. They do not understand how you do it, and that is what frustrates them the most. But the truth is, your ability to think differently is not just for your benefit. It is part of your calling. You were not given this mind just to protect yourself, you were given it to lead, to guide, to make decisions that create change, not just for yourself, but for those who are meant to follow you. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 12 offers a powerful insight. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is, that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Money can provide security, but true wisdom offers something far greater. It gives life. It allows you to navigate the world in a way that ensures survival, success, and impact. This is why the greatest leaders are not simply those with power, but those with understanding. Power without wisdom leads to destruction. Strength without strategy leads to failure. But when wisdom and strength are combined, they create something unstoppable. And that is what you are becoming, unstoppable. You are not here to follow the path that others take. You are here to carve your own way. The reason you have always seen the world differently is because you were never meant to think like everyone else. The reason you anticipate what others cannot is because you were given a mind that operates beyond the limitations of the average person. This is your advantage. This is why you win. This is why your enemies are always a step behind. And this is why you must continue to sharpen your mind, to seek wisdom, to refine your ability to think beyond the obvious. Because there is more ahead. Greater battles, bigger opportunities, more challenges that will require the level of strategic thinking that only you possess. If you have recognized this in yourself, comment strategist, because that is what you are. But wisdom alone is not enough. There is something else that truly sets the chosen ones apart. Not just their ability to think, but the way they transform adversity into power. The people who doubt you assume you are simply lucky. They fail to see the discipline, the resilience, and the vision behind your success. But the next signs? These are the ones that truly set you apart. Before we continue, make sure to activate all notifications so you do not miss any insights that will keep you ahead of them. The third sign is, you turn enemies into lessons and fuel. There is a fundamental difference between you and those who have tried to bring you down. Some people experience hardship and never recover. They allow their failures to define them, their losses to break them, and their betrayals to embitter them. They spend their lives reliving what was done to them, unable to move forward because they are still holding on to the pain. But you are different. You take everything, every setback, every betrayal, every moment of disappointment, and you transform it into something greater. This is the third undeniable sign that you are chosen. Your enemies thought they were destroying you, but in reality, they were handing you the very tools you needed to rise even higher. There have been moments where you could have allowed bitterness to take root. You could have let the weight of betrayal crush your spirit. You could have let failure convince you that you were unworthy of success. But instead, you chose something else. You chose to analyze, to learn, to adapt. You refused to let pain be the thing that held you back. Instead, you made it the fuel that pushed you forward. Think about the times when you faced opposition. The people who underestimated you. The ones who betrayed your trust. The rivals who tried to stop you. They all had the same expectation. They assumed you would crumble. They assumed that the weight of their attack would be enough to break you. What they never considered was that you were not like them. You do not simply survive hardship, you absorb it, process it, and turn it into strength. This is why they cannot understand how you keep rising. From the outside, it looks like you should have given up a long time ago. They see what you have been through, and by all logic, they assume that no one could endure that much and still succeed. But what they fail to realize is that every obstacle only sharpened you. Every betrayal only taught you how to be more discerning. Genesis 50 verse 20 captures this truth perfectly. But as for you, ye thought evil against me. But God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. This is not just a story of survival. It is a testament to transformation. What was meant for harm became the very thing that propelled you into your purpose. You have always known, deep down, that there is something different about the way you handle adversity. You do not dwell on what was taken from you. You focus on what you gained from the experience. Instead of complaining about the hardships you faced, you take the lessons and apply them to your next move. You refuse to let setbacks become permanent roadblocks. You refuse to give your enemies the satisfaction of seeing you defeated. And this is exactly why they fear you. They have seen people fall before, and they assumed you would be no different. They expected you to react emotionally, to self-destruct, to spiral into weakness. But instead, you did something they never saw coming. You became stronger. You became smarter. You took what they did to you and turned it into the very reason for your next breakthrough. The world does not know what to do with someone like you. Society teaches people to either retaliate in rage or to collapse under the weight of hardship. But you master your emotions. You do not seek revenge, you seek wisdom. You do not waste time fighting battles that do not matter, you focus on strategy. You take the attacks, the setbacks, the betrayals, and you convert them into fuel. Think about fire. Fire can be destructive, consuming everything in its path. But in the right hands, fire is also a tool. It forges metal into weapons. It refines gold to remove its impurities, creates warmth and power. You have taken the fire that was meant to burn you and turned it into something that builds you. The people who once looked down on you are now watching in confusion, wondering how you managed to overcome what was supposed to destroy you. But the truth is, they will never understand. They do not have the mindset that you have. They do not see the world the way you do. They do not know how to take pain and convert it into something powerful. That is why they remain stuck while you continue to rise. Romans 8 verse 28 reinforces this truth. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Even the worst moments of your life have served a purpose. The betrayals, the failures, the opposition, all of it was shaping you into the person you were meant to become. Nothing has been wasted. But this does not mean the process is easy. It takes strength to look at pain and extract wisdom from it. It takes discipline to experience loss and not allow it to turn into resentment. It takes a powerful mind to take failure and see it as a stepping stone rather than an endpoint. But this is why you are different. This is why you are chosen. Every time you face an obstacle, you do not just see it for what it is, you see what it can become. Where others see dead ends, you see possibilities. Where others see enemies, you see teachers. Where others see defeat, you see preparation. This is why your rivals will never be able to rise against you again. The weapons they formed against you have only made you stronger. The words they spoke against you have only made you wiser. The setbacks they placed in your path have only forced you to become more strategic. They do not realize it, but they were never fighting to destroy you. They were only sharpening the very person who will surpass them. If you have ever taken pain and turned it into power, comment, fuel, because that is exactly what you have been doing all along. But this is only part of the equation. Being chosen is not just about surviving adversity, it is about carrying an undeniable presence. The next sign will reveal why people cannot ignore you, even when they try. If you are ready to understand what sets you apart even further, keep watching. The truth is about to become even clearer. The fourth sign is, your presence demands attention. There is something about you that commands attention, even when you are silent. It is not arrogance, nor is it a desperate need for validation. It is something deeper, an undeniable force within you that makes others take notice. Wherever you go, people sense it. Some are drawn to you, seeking your insight, your wisdom, or simply the energy you carry. Others feel threatened by it, though they cannot always explain why. But one thing remains certain: when you enter a room, your presence is felt. This is the fourth undeniable sign that you are chosen. You do not need to demand recognition. It happens naturally. You do not have to fight for influence. It is something you already possess. And whether people acknowledge it openly or try to resist it, they cannot ignore you. Think about it. How many times have you noticed people watching you? Even when you are not speaking, even when you are simply observing, there is an awareness of your presence. Sometimes it manifests as curiosity. Other times it manifests as discomfort. People may not always understand why they react to you the way they do, but deep down they know you are different. There is something about you that disrupts the atmosphere. Your presence carries weight because you are not just existing, you are being. You walk with intention. You carry wisdom that most overlook. You exude a quiet confidence that does not need to be announced. This is the mark of a leader. True leaders do not chase influence, it follows them. They do not seek permission to stand out, they simply do. They do not blend in because they were never meant to. And this is precisely why you unsettle some people. There are those who will admire you, who will see in you something they wish to cultivate within themselves. They will be inspired by your confidence, your clarity, your ability to stand firm in who you are. But there will also be those who resent you for the exact same reasons. Not because you have wronged them, not because you have taken anything from them, but because your presence reminds them of what they lack. When people see someone walking in purpose, fully aligned with who they were meant to be, it triggers something in them. Some will be challenged to rise higher. Others will shrink back in insecurity, mistaking your confidence for arrogance, mistaking your strength for intimidation. But their reactions have nothing to do with you and everything to do with the internal battles they have yet to face. This is why certain people will go out of their way to minimize you. They may downplay your achievements. They may dismiss your ideas. They may refuse to acknowledge the impact you have, even when it is undeniable. But what they fail to realize is that ignoring you does not diminish you. No matter how much they try, they cannot erase the presence you carry. Matthew 5 verse 14 states, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid." This is a reality, not a suggestion. Those who are chosen do not have the luxury of blending in. They do not have the option of being overlooked. When you carry light, it is seen whether people like it or not. Some will try to dim that light because it exposes what is hidden in the shadows. Your clarity reveals confusion. Your wisdom highlights ignorance. Your strength magnifies weakness. And for those who are not ready to confront their own shortcomings, your presence feels like a threat. But here is the truth. It is not your job to make people comfortable. You were not placed on this path to shrink yourself for the sake of others. Your presence demands attention because it is meant to shift things. It is meant to bring clarity. It is meant to challenge, to inspire, to lead. And whether people embrace it or resist it, it will not be ignored. This is why doors open for you in ways that do not make sense. This is why you find yourself in rooms where you did not expect to be. This is why people in positions of power take notice of you, even when they pretend not to. They recognize what you carry, even if they do not fully understand it. There is a reason history remembers those who refuse to be ordinary. Those who shape the world are not those who were comfortable, not those who followed the crowd, but those who stood firm in their presence, who embraced their calling without hesitation. And you are among them. This does not mean the journey is easy. Carrying a presence that shifts atmospheres means that you will experience resistance. Not everyone will celebrate you. Not everyone will appreciate the way you move through life with confidence. Some will try to challenge you, not because they want to test your strength, but because they want to see if they can shake you. But the ones who are truly chosen do not break under pressure. They do not waver because of opposition. They understand that presence is not just about being seen. It is about standing firm in identity, in purpose, in destiny. Isaiah 60 verse 1 declares, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." This is an instruction, not a request. You were meant to shine. You were meant to stand out. You were meant to be noticed, because in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. But the reality is, not everyone will rise with you. Some will choose to remain where they are. Some will resent the fact that you refuse to stay at their level. Some will try to bring you back down, to convince you that you are not as different as you know yourself to be. And that is where the real test begins. Will you embrace the power of your presence? Will you allow yourself to be seen, even when it makes others uncomfortable? Will you continue to walk in confidence, knowing that not everyone will understand? This is the moment where you decide. If you know your presence speaks before you do, comment unstoppable, because that is exactly what you are. But this is not the end of your journey. The world has already seen what you are capable of. Your enemies assumed you had peaked, that your victories were over. But what they do not understand is that the greatest test, the defining moment of your journey, is still ahead. The final sign is, your story is still unfolding. You have come further than most ever will. You have endured storms that should have consumed you, faced challenges that would have left others broken, and yet you are still here, standing, breathing, rising. Every battle you have fought has shaped you. Every loss has refined you. And every victory has been another step towards something greater. But the most important truth, the one your enemies do not want to accept, is that your story is still unfolding. This is the final and most undeniable sign that you are chosen. Everything you have accomplished up to this point, it is only the beginning. Every achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of clarity, it has all been leading you towards something far greater than what you can currently see. The journey is not over, and if you feel a deep sense that there is more ahead, that is because there is. Your rivals, your doubters, and even some of those closest to you have made the mistake of believing that you have reached your peak. They assume that you have given all you have to give, that you have exhausted your strength, that you have already played your best hand. But what they fail to realize is that you are always evolving, always learning, always preparing for the next move. This is what sets you apart. Some people reach a certain level and become complacent. They settle for what they have accomplished, satisfied with what they have already done. But not you. You are constantly growing, stretching, stepping into the unknown. You refuse to be confined by the expectations of others. This is why they fear you. They cannot predict your next move because they do not understand that you are not operating within the same limitations they do. You are not confined by their definitions of success. You are not trapped by their expectations. While they focus on the past, you are focused on what is ahead. And now all eyes are on you, waiting to see what you will do next. Philippians 1 verse 6 speaks directly to this reality. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. The work in you is not finished. What has been started will be completed. And this is what those who stand against you cannot understand. There is a power at work in your life that does not allow you to stop. Your enemies assumed that after everything you have been through, you would be too tired to keep going. They expected you to retreat, to settle, to become content with what you have already accomplished. But they do not realize that you are built differently. Your hunger for growth is unrelenting. Your vision is bigger than what they can see. Your purpose is still unfolding, and no setback, no opposition, no temporary failure will change that. The greatest mistake anyone can make is underestimating someone whose story is still being written. People have counted you out before, thinking they knew your limits. They have dismissed you, thinking they understood your potential. But time and time again, you have proven them wrong. This is because you are not just living for the present, you are being shaped for the future. Your trials were not wasted. They were preparation. Your hardships were not meaningless. They were the foundation upon which something greater is being built. And even now, as you stand at this moment, there are new doors opening, new challenges forming, and new victories waiting for you. If you know deep down that your best days are still ahead, comment next level, because that is exactly where you are headed. But there is one final test, one that separates the truly chosen from those who merely survive. And if you can pass it, no one will ever be able to stop you. Watch the next video linked in the description below to uncover the hidden truth. If you recognize these signs in yourself, then you already know your story is far from over. You are not here to blend in. You are here to change the game. Comment, "I am chosen," if you are ready to step fully into your calling. And if this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the ones who are truly chosen, they rise together,